In this video, we are going to take a look at the Oklahoma Sooners women's basketball team and their move into the SEC and preview what they look like in the upcoming 24-25 season. We will take a look at their coach, Jennie Baranczyk, how they went last season, the players returning, and the new additions. Yes. Raegan Beers, she will be discussed, obviously, and what she will add to the mix of this Oklahoma team. But before we start, if you enjoy the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. All right, let's get into this. Jennie Baranczyk was hired as the Oklahoma coach 3 years ago after longtime coach Sherry Cole resigned. I think it's fair to say that the program struggled a bit at the end of Cole's tenure as she had 2 losing seasons, and then the last season they went 500, but there was a controversy over former players said that she made insensitive remarks during the course of her career. It was the time for her to go, and Baranczyk came in from Drake, who had had success there, and she's done a good job. So each of the 3 seasons, she has gotten them to the NCAA tournament where they've lost in the second round. But the last 2 years as well, she's won the Big 12 title outright, beating Texas. They went 26-7 in 2022-23, and then last season they went 23-10. She is known for running a good offensive system, like all the players move, not too much dribbling ISO ball. The Athletic had a survey of 35 coaches, and she was rated equal first with Gino Auriemma with terms of what coach would you pick to design an offensive game plan for your team. A few of the anonymous quotes from coaches included, "I think she's done a really good job. They struggled at the beginning of the year, but she turned it around. She always finds a way to score." And then there's another one, "Not many Power 5 schools are running 5-out motion like that." And last year, she did have to adjust as before the season started, they lost Liz Scott, who is a forward and 6'2", so they had to play small as the biggest player in their lineup was 6'1" guard Peyton Verhulst. They play an analytical game. If you look at their shot chart, 29% of their shots come from outside the three-point line, then 31% at the basket, only 11% from the mid-range. So they do play, stretch you out, move the ball, and try to either get points at the basket via back cutting or taking three-pointers to get efficiency on most of their shots. And it'll be interesting going into the SEC. So there's one argument saying they don't have enough good athletes to compete in the SEC, but the other argument is all 5 of their players can score, which makes them tough and hard to guard. So I'm curious to see how they go in the SEC this year, because on paper, you would say Texas will go well. They have athletes to compete, but they took down Texas twice last season. Now, their starting lineup last season, so point guard was Nevaeh Tot. She's 5'2". She brings up the ball and gives all the assists and just runs the team. So she averaged 6.6 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game. She shot 29% from three-point range last season, and the majority of her three-point shots are above the break. Their leading scorer from last season is Skylar Vann, who's 5'11". She averaged 15 points, 7 rebounds, 2.4 assists. Her effective field goal percentage is 49.3%. Her true shooting percentage is 51.9%. And she shoots under 30% from 3 at 28%. Peyton Verhulst averaged 12.6 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 3.9 assists. She's a good shooter. Her effective field goal shooting percentage is 47.3%. Her three-point percentage, 35%. And that's where she takes a majority of her shots from. Lexi Keys transferred to OU last year from Oklahoma State, and she is their most efficient player. She is 5'7" and averaged 8.4 points per game, 2.6 rebounds, and 2.3 assists. Her effective field goal shooting percentage was 57.4%, and she shot 39% from three-point range, where she took the majority of her shots. Now, all those players I just mentioned, so Vann, Tot, Verhulst, and Keys, they're all seniors and redshirt seniors, so they're very experienced. They did have a freshman that started last year. That was Sahara Williams, who was rated number 23 coming out of high school. She is 6 foot and a wing. Last season, she averaged 10.3 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 1.5 assists per game. Her three-point shot needs work. She just shot 20% from the three-point line. She got the majority of her points at the basket, where she shot 64%, and in the mid-range as well. She shot 50%, but she only took 7.4% of her shots from the mid-range. Now, their best player off the bench was Aubrey Jones, who averaged just over 7 points and 3.3 rebounds in 16 minutes of playing time per game. She is a 5'9" guard. Her effective field goal shooting percentage was just over 50%, and she shoots really well from the corners. That's her spot. And that's the interesting thing with this Oklahoma team is everybody plays, even after Jones. Rena Scott plays, Beatrice Colton, Kennedy Tucker, Kirsten Johnson, they all averaged over 10 minutes a game. So I think overall you're getting the picture. Last year, Oklahoma was a bit of like ants. They could all shoot, move, they passed the ball around, and they were very effective because they played good, smart basketball. And then the hope for Oklahoma going into 24-25 is now they will have the size to compete up front. With Liz Scott returning from her shoulder injury in the 22-23 season, she was tough inside and effective or efficient, if you like. She averaged just under 7 points, just under 5 rebounds per game, and her effective field goal shooting percentage was 49.9%. And on offense, she did most of her damage inside of the key or in the paint. And then, of course, there was Raegan Beers, who was a beast for Oregon State last year, averaging 17.5 points per game, 10.3 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and she was efficient as well. Her effective field goal shooting percentage was 66.4%. And she does her damage, obviously, inside, shooting 71% at the rim. In addition, 50% inside the paint. And that is generally where she works, is at the rim, as 82% of her shots were at the rim last season. In terms of how Beers will fit in with Oklahoma's lineup, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think some have speculated, will that mess up their chemistry? But last season, Beatrice Colton is similar in body type. Like, obviously, Beers is more talented. But when they played last year, Oklahoma with Tot, Keys, Van Hurst, and Colton, now, small sample, that was 85 minutes and 153 possessions, but that lineup was plus 35. Prorated over 100 minutes, it would have been plus 22.9. Their offensive rating was 106.6, which was better than their normal starting lineup. So I don't think they're going to have any issues putting Beers into the starting lineup. I think it will open things up, and they'll do a lot of handoffs and cuts off her, and really, I think it will open things up even more. I think they will be even more potent on offense going into the 24-25 season. As you are aware, they are going into the SEC, and their schedule has, or who they're going to play has come out. They'll play Missouri twice, and then at home they'll have Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. And then on the road, they will go to Arkansas, Florida, LSU. That should be a fun matchup. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Overall, Baranczyk has been 4-1 versus SEC opponents while at OU. And last year, they played Ole Miss on the road and beat them 80-70. And as I said in previous videos, the SEC is going to be fantastic next year. I think it'll be a great battle to see who is number 2 behind South Carolina. Texas is currently rated number 6, but they took out Texas last year. I know Roy Harmon will be back, and Madison Booker will only be better, but that will be a fun matchup as well. LSU is currently rated number 7, and watching them go after LSU, it'll sort of be the analytical team versus the Mulkey pounded ball and take it inside. I can't wait to watch that dynamic and those teams square off against each other. Now it's over to you for your thoughts and comments. Do you see Oklahoma moving into that next tier where they can get into the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, or potentially the Final Four with the talent they have and the experience? And where do you see them falling in the SEC? Do you see it being a welcome to the SEC and they will take their lumps and finish mid in the pack? Or do you see them welcoming the SEC to spread offense, and this is how we do it in the Big 12, and you need to adjust to us? It'll be an interesting dynamic, but you have your say in the comments. Do you see them finishing like number 2 or 3 in the SEC next season? Thanks a lot for watching. Hope to see you next time.